Hey y'all, welcome to the filling station. It's a new day, another opportunity to either make money in this market or to just learn from the market. But first, y'all, let me give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. If you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, y'all, because we learn and we grow together. With that being said, let's get started. So we are looking at Tesla, and as you can see, Tesla does what Tesla does, right? We closed at 237.97. We reported the earnings on yesterday afternoon, and CEO Elon, let me get his name right, states that he's coming back to Tesla, getting back to serious business with Tesla, and I'm assuming that that is why we are up, because we had misses, at the top and the bottom. So that's interesting. But I say so often, y'all, Tesla does what Tesla does. What's interesting is that this level of 256.44 is what stopped us on yesterday. So we're back at that place. Can we break through and keep climbing, or are we going to get some type of rejection and come back down? Keep in mind, we have gap to the upside. There's going to be a gap to the downside that needs to be filled. However, that does not mean today, right? So I say follow the trend, follow the momentum, ride the wave. Trade what you see. I say that often, right? So where the trouble places for Tesla as of right now, it was trading in this little zone here. We broke out of that 5 EMA. We are definitely at that, riding the 5 at this point. Trouble places to the upside. Let me see if I can get that. Okay. We are having some technical difficulties today. Okay, trouble places to the upside. Let's just start with that, right? 256.32. If we break that level, 257.19, 258.09. If we break that 258.09 for Tesla, which is around 258.09, somewhere around here, we could possibly have trouble again. 259.81, breaking that. 260.70, breaking that. 261.52, breaking that level. 261.85, 262.70. And if we should have, break that level, 263.57. Those are resistance areas. And as you can see, we got rejected here and here. And it looks like we're still having trouble in that area. So it needs to clear that 256.44 area. Now back to the downside. Under this level of 254.76, we could possibly come back to around 252.97. Breaking that brings us back to 252.28. If we should break that around 251.04, breaking that back to the downside, 249.65. And if we break that, 249.05, breaking that level brings us back to 248.35. Breaking the 248.35 area for Tesla, 247.25 could be a support place. And again, 246.55. If we break that 246.55, which is the 50 EMA, around the 50 EMA, we can come back down to the 245.96. What will be interesting is breaking that level back down to 244 even will be a support place for Tesla. But so if that's something that you trade, I say so often, y'all, trade carefully, mark your levels, and once it goes against your why, get out. Looks as if the SPY is giving us the same kind of trend today, up. We are going to gap up today. Let me say it right. So we closed at 527.25 this morning. We've made a pre-market high today of 540.70. And as you can see, we're still back at that area. Where are the trouble places? If we break that for 540.70 for the SPY, 541.06, again 541.70, breaking that 542.80 for 542.77. If we break that 542.77 around 543.38, 543.81. If we break that level, there's a few layers here for the SPY, as you can see. So I would say, we could very well continue climbing. And again, y'all, I look at support and resistance on a smaller scale because when I'm in the trade, I kind of want to know, where my trouble places are. Let's look back to the downside under 538.88. We could possibly have trouble again, 537.87. Down here around the 537.06, breaking that, 536.29. Should we break that level, 535.61, again here at 535.15 and 534.53. Let's say if we break that, it brings us back to this area, which is around the 534.03. Breaking that brings us back to 533.68. And if we should break that, we can come back to the 533.817 area for the SPY. Again, not financial advice. It's going to be an interesting day in the market. I say so often, trade carefully, and once it goes against your why, get out so that you can live to trade another day. We're now looking at AMD, and it seems like we're looking at the same pattern, right? It too is doing the exact kind of like the same thing as the SPY and Tesla. So where are the trouble places for AMD as of right now? This is our gathering spot around here. We have broken through that area. 89.99 was our support. Resistance was around $90.60. It is now our support area. So it looks like we've had some trouble here at this $91.29 for AMD. We got rejected here. Are we going to continue to the upside, or are we going to go back to the downside? That's, that's why I say so often, trade what you see, right? So let's go to a higher time frame for AMD. If by chance we break above this 91.37 area, we could very well come back to around 92.62. If we break that area, 93.64, breaking that 93.64 area brings us back to around 94.15. Should we break that area, 95.09 could be a rejection area. If we break that, we could possibly have trouble again, 95.60. And breaking that level, 96.31, and should we break that, we can come back to 97.64. So if you're trading AMD today, those are kind of areas to the upside. Now, to the downside, let's say we come back under 89.75, which is kind of like close to 89.45, where our ATR trailing stop is forming, and our 20 EMA here. So we definitely need to watch it under this 89.46 area. We could very well come back to 89.03. Should we break that area, 88.64, and if we break that, we can come back to 88.32. Breaking that 88.32, which is kind of like in between those moving averages, the 20 50 EMA and the 200 EMA, I would watch it under this 87.91 area, or 87.70. It's what I have marked. So we could very well, breaking this level, we can come back to the 86.94. So if AMD is something that you trade today, y'all, I say so often, trade carefully in this market. Anything is possible, right? So we're now looking at Meta. We closed at $500.28. Everything is kind of looking the same. We've gapped up today. Looks like we're getting some rejection here. So trade carefully today. Does that mean it's going to continue climbing? It does not. We could very well get rejected or have a rug pull and go back to the downside just as fast as we went up. So I say trade carefully, right? So where are the trouble places for Meta today? It looks like we're having trouble around this 528.97. If we break that level, 528.97, breaking that 532.71, breaking that 534.77. If we break this area, 534.77, yes, 534.69, 534.70 area. If we break that, we could possibly have trouble. 539.16, breaking the 539.16, 542.29, 546.13 could be a rejection area for Meta. Now back to the downside, I would say we need to come back under this level, 523.80. Breaking that brings us back to 521.94, and if we should break that, 519.45. If we should break that, 517.03, breaking that level, I would watch probably around the 513.41. So there was a 515.15 and then the 512.95 area for Meta. Breaking that brings us back to this area here around 509.96 and then 507.60. So breaking that 507.60, which is not far from this 200 EMA, we could very well come back to 504.17 and find support. So if you're trading Meta today, those are kind of areas to the upside and to the downside. Again, not financial advice. We are now looking at NVDA. We closed at $98.89. We are at 104.70, getting rejected at this area here of $100.48. Of course, we did hit 104.48. We did have a high here of 104.70. Seems like we got some sellers in this area, so we definitely need to be careful. So where are the trouble places as of now? Back to the upside for NVIDIA. We need to stay above this level, 104.48, breaking that, 105.08, again at 105.61, breaking that, 106.24, breaking that level, 107.14. If we break that 107.14 for NVIDIA, we could very well come back and have trouble here around the 108.52 area. So those are kind of like rejection areas or your resistance areas for NVIDIA today. So let's look to the downside. Say for we break under the 103.62, we could very well come back to 103. 103.02. If we should break that level, 102.46 could be a support place, which is our ATR trailing stop that's forming right now. If we break that level, we could come back to around the 101.76. Breaking that brings us back to 101.15, breaking that $100.51. And if we should break that level around the 90, I'd say the 99.68 area. And I'm just going to where the body of these candles are. And yes, we are looking, we see the wick, but I go to the where the bodies are, 99.64, 99.68 area. Should we break that level, 99.34? And if we break that, 98.49 could be a support place. Breaking that, 97.80. So if you're trading NVIDIA today, these are just kind of areas to the upside and to the downside. And y'all know I say so often in this market, anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed. So I hope that everyone have a very profitable and a very, very productive day today. This is what I see when I look at the market. There's so many different ways to trade the market, and what's challenging, again, sometimes it's finding the place that, the plan that works best for you and having the discipline to execute your plan. So make sure that you use whatever type of stop loss that you choose to use. Make sure you have the discipline to execute that. So I hope that everyone have a very profitable day today, a very productive day. And if you could, please like, share, comment, subscribe, y'all, because we learn and we grow together. With that being said, until next time, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.